You want to know a secret? You don't need some complex spreadsheet or a fancy calculator to get a real handle on how your money grows or disappears. Turns out all you really need are two simple numbers. Seriously, you can do this math in your head. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, pop quiz for you. Let's say you've got an investment and it's paying you a nice clean 10% a year. How long till you double your money? Go on, take a guess. I bet your brain just jumped straight to 10 years, didn't it? I mean, it seems so obvious, right? 10% times 10 years equals 100%. Simple.
Well, that simple, logical answer, it's totally wrong. See, you just fell into the simple interest trap. That's where you only make money on your initial pile of cash. But in the real world, your money, well, it has babies. And then those babies have more babies. That, my friends, is the power of compounding, and it changes the entire game. So why do we all get this wrong? Well, it's because our brains have this fundamental glitch when it comes to money. We are just not wired to intuitively understand the most powerful force in all of finance, exponential growth. Think about it. We evolved to deal with stuff we can see. A lion running right at you? Yeah, our brain gets that. It's direct, it's immediate, it's run! But we really struggle with these silent, invisible, exponential forces, like inflation quietly eating away at your savings. A 3% inflation rate doesn't feel scary, and a 12% return doesn't feel that much different from an 8% return. But over the long haul, oh man, they are galaxies apart. We need a way to translate this weird exponential language into something our brains can actually handle. Okay, so let's get to that translator. This is probably the most famous piece of mental math in all of finance. It's a simple little tool that takes all those confusing percentages and turns them into something we all get: time. It's called the Rule of 72, and it's so simple. All you do is take the number 72, you divide it by whatever interest rate you're looking at, and bam, that's roughly how many years it's going to take to double your money. This is that back-of-the-napkin trick that savvy investors use all the time to quickly size up an opportunity. All right, let's try it out. Let's say you're getting a 6% return. Okay, so you take 72, divide by 6, and you get 12. That's it, 12 years. That's how long it takes for your 10 grand to become 20 grand. Okay, but what if you could find a slightly better deal? Say an 8% return. All right, 72 divided by 8, that's 9. 9 years. Just by squeezing out an extra 2%, you've knocked 3 full years off the clock. That's huge. And this is where that exponential magic really kicks in. What if you can get a 12% return? Well, 72 divided by 12, that's just 6 years. 6, you're literally doubling your money twice as fast as you were at 6%. Just look at this chart. It really puts it in perspective. That 6% return, that's 12 long years to double. But jump over to the 12% return, just 6 years. Now think about that over, say, a 24-year period. At 6%, your money doubles twice. But at 12%, it doubles 4 times. That isn't just twice the money. It's way more. It's a world of difference. Okay, but before we get too excited, there's a dark side to this. This rule is a double-edged sword. It can work for you, sure, but it can also work viciously against you. Think about high-interest debt. That credit card with a 24% interest rate? Let's do the math. 72 divided by 24. That's 3. 3 years. That's how long it takes for your debt to the bank to double if you're not paying it off. And speaking of things working against us, let's talk about the sneakiest one of all, that slow, silent killer of wealth, inflation. So we can actually flip the Rule of 72 on its head to figure out something called the halving time. This is how long it takes for the money you have saved to lose half of its buying power. So next time you see on the news that inflation is at 3%, your brain shouldn't hear 3%. Your brain should do a quick calculation, 72 divided by 3, and scream 24 years. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's say you worked your whole life and retired with a cool $1 million in cash. Sounds great, right? But if inflation just chugs along at a seemingly harmless 3%, guess what? In 24 years, your $1 million will only buy what $500,000 buys today. You've basically gone through a 50% market crash, completely silent, without your bank statement changing one bit. So here's the big takeaway. The Rule of 72 proves that the safe option, just holding on to cash, is actually a guaranteed loss. It's not safe at all. That feeling of safety is a total illusion. All right, enough doom and gloom about inflation. Let's switch from playing defense to playing offense. Let's talk about building some real, serious wealth. Because doubling your money is great, don't get me wrong, but tripling it, that's where things get really interesting. If the rule of 72 is for the smart investor, our next rule, well, that's for the empire builder. Meet the rule of 114. It works the exact same way as the rule of 72. You just take the number 114, divide by your interest rate, and that's how many years it takes to triple your money. This is the one you don't hear about much, but it's a real secret weapon.
Let's make this really concrete. Check out this story of two investors, Alice and Bob. Both invest for 36 years. Alice is pretty conservative. She gets a solid 6% return. So using our rule of 72, her money doubles every 12 years. Over her 36-year career, that happens 3 times. She ends up with 8 times what she started with. Hey, not bad at all. But then there's Bob. Bob pushes a little harder. He finds a way to get a 9.5% return. Now, using our new rule of 114, his money triples every 12 years. So he also gets 3 cycles, but he's not doubling, he's tripling. The result? He ends up with an insane 27 times his starting capital. That little difference in their return means Bob ends up with more than 3 times Alice's wealth. Mind-blowing, right?
Okay, so you've got the tools, you've got the rule of 72 and the rule of 114, but now let's talk about how to use them like a real pro, because there are a couple of things you got to keep in mind. First thing to remember is that these rules are, well, they're approximations. The source material calls them benevolent liars. I love that. They're not lying to be mean, they're just fantastic shortcuts. They work best in that sweet spot, somewhere between 5 and 10%. Once you get really high or really low returns, they start to get a little wobbly. But hey, no worries, there's a super easy way to adjust for that. Here's the pro tip. Just think of 8% as your home base. That's where the rule of 72 is perfect. Now, for every 3 percentage points you go away from 8%, just tweak the number 72 by 1. So if your rate is way down at 2%, that's 6 points away from 8, so you adjust by 2. You'd use 70 instead of 72. And if you have a crazy high rate like 20%, that's 12 points away, so you adjust by 4. You'd use 76. It's a tiny change that makes your quick math way more accurate. And this brings me to my absolute favorite use for these rules. Let's say some slick salesperson comes to you with a once-in-a-lifetime investment. They promise you they can double your money in just over a year, say 1.2 years. What should be going off in your head right now? Your brain should be screaming scam or Ponzi scheme. Why? Because the rule of 72 gives you an instant reality check. You just do the math in reverse. 72 divided by 1.2 years. That's a 60% annual return. 60%. Legitimate investments almost never produce those kinds of returns. This simple rule is your built-in lie detector. If it sounds way too good to be true, you can be sure that it is. So I want to leave you with this thought. These rules, 72 and 114, they're not just math tricks. They're a way to translate the confusing world of finance into the one thing we all understand, time. They basically put a ticking clock on your wealth. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, do you know how fast your clock is ticking?